Hello and welcome to Ask Dr. Callahan. This is Facebook Live. Dale Callahan with Ask Dr. Callahan, and we're late doing this one. Actually, I think I'm late doing the last couple of Facebook Lives. We normally do these at 7 o'clock, but hey, we were out seeing Spider-Man and doing things, and the movie went a little bit late. I think it was Spider-Man Homecoming. But we are beginning. I can tell by the volume of emails that we're getting and with our team and the intensity of orders and things that are coming in with the homeschooling market. A lot of you are out there and you're starting your homeschool journey for the year 2017, 2018, and you're getting started and you're rolling in and you're doing activities. And, there is a certain panic that we see that sets in, not usually now, but, we see some of it now. I guess it comes at different times for different people. There's a panic of, have I messed up? And you might be shocked about how often I get this message that we get a message something like this that says something like, have we totally messed up our kids because we haven't got them in the right math to get from point A to point B, or we haven't done something right and they're now doing, they're not on the right path to get to the right college. It just reminds me of the things that we used to laugh at, and probably you used to laugh at it too, about people getting their kids in the right kindergarten, because if they don't get them in the right kindergarten, they won't get in the right school, and therefore their career is destroyed early on. But we feel that way, right? There are times that you feel the pressure of things not working out, like you've totally messed it up, and you've got your kids on this path, and you haven't set the things in motion, and you haven't put the paths out there for them to walk, and then boy, it's all just blown. So I want to ease your fear, if that's how you feel that way, that you've totally are going to mess up your kids because you haven't done things perfectly. Because here's the thing that I'm gonna give you from a faculty member's point of view at the university, that we see these kids coming in. We all kind of blow it. I don't care what happens, and you can look around you and see other your friends and family members of your friends, and see that with their kids, and watch some things they seem to do everything perfect, and it still blows up in their face, or they don't do things and their kids seem to find their way. So I just happened to be, where did I land? I just happened to be looking at this book, Thou Shalt Prosper, a book by Daniel Lapin, actually a rabbi, but he's got the book is the 10 Commandments to Making Money. It's a great business book, but it's got a lot of common sense things in there that I think for us as families that really cause panic. As we're dealing with our kids, when our faculty members, and this probably happens at every university, but our engineering faculty members, one of our deans was telling me, we welcome the freshmen in, and this what just happened a couple of weeks ago, and he said, Dale, come with me. We're going to go welcome the kids and deal with their panicking parents. Now, I laughed at him, and that his comment, I'm like, what are we supposed to say to the panicking parents? He says, you just, that it's going to be all right. Now, I think what he meant is the people are panicking because they feel like their kids are now in engineering, they're not ready, and all the other things. And maybe there's some serious concerns there going to university, and especially for the first time for kids, but being all right in the sense that they are prepared. So here's the secret that we've noticed in engineering school, and I'm guessing at every university thing. They're never prepared, right? We were never prepared. We were probably never prepared for anything really, and somehow you figure your way through it. So in this book by Daniel Lapin, he has this chapter. He says, there's a couple interesting chapters, and these probably don't mean what we think they mean in terms of context, but one is get to know yourself. So in our college and career planning course, one of the things that we're trying to do is help the students, or many times I'm teaching that to adults, get to understand what their gifts are. Now, I, being a Christian, feel like I have a God-given gift, and everybody has a God-given gift of how they're going to serve other people and what they're going to do to serve other people. Because look, the gifts we got are there to serve. So whether it's a medical doctor or an engineer or an accountant or, the people that do all kinds of work that we don't even understand, the guy that picks up the trash, the people that mow the yards, all these things that are so critically important. And we can look up or down at these careers and these professions, but the fact is there's massive money in all of them. There's massive contentment in all in them. And the best thing is to know where it is that you love working. So if you're working in the place that you love doing things, we've all been to the restaurant, the places, and you may not know this about restaurants, but they have like a 3% profit margin. It's very tough to make a living in a restaurant business. Some of you might be in that and you understand, but there's people who just love doing that. It's a great business, and you can tell that they love doing it. And you've also been in front of the person who's the doctor who doesn't really like being a doctor. They're doing something great for having a living, for making a living. And you know what? They're unhappy. And we really don't like having them as a doctor. Thank you so much, Karen. Karen's in our college and career course. Or actually, I should say maybe her kids are in a college and career course. So I spend a ton of time, a ton of my time helping adults, people that are making a great living, trying to figure out where to go next. Was it because their parents messed up because when they were in high school or college or whatever and did not prepare them? No, not usually. Many of these people are making great livings, but they feel lost. They feel like they don't know where they want to be. They're trying to get there. So you getting to understand where your kids are going, getting to understand how to lead them in the direction, it's really important. And it's not a straight line thing. It's not, linear in terms of the math. It's not that we just follow things. It's a messy thing trying to understand. And it probably was for most of us, right? I remember years ago, I was approached by the university with the previous dean of our university, and he's talked to me about being in academia. And I remember telling him, I have no desire to be in academia. No desire. I'm a corporate guy. That's what I do. I do entrepreneurship. And I think I told him no 7 different times. But and his words to me were, hey, just try it for a year. Let's play this game and let's see what happens. So that was in 2000. So it obviously has worked out, and it's been a blast. And we've started companies from it. It's been kind of the thing that you discuss, that you end up where you should be. And sometimes you end up where you should be because you were found out where you should be, and it wasn't because this great big plan. Your kids will end up there too, right? No matter what you are doing, they will probably end up there. Now, can you help? Absolutely. Absolutely. We're all for preparing. But here's this other chapter in the book Thou Shalt Prosper, this other chapter, and I just love it. And this is something I live by. Maybe this shouldn't be something I admit, but do not pursue perfection. Do not pursue perfection. Because as nature, my nature is to be a perfectionist. And probably so is a lot of you. So are a lot of you, that we want to have things perfect. The founder of LinkedIn, the great social media network for professionals that I think got bought by Microsoft. I forget his name right now. But he makes this comment that is so true in the entrepreneurial world, that if you're not embarrassed by the first product offering you put on the market, you waited too late. Now think about that. If you're not embarrassed by the first thing that you put on the market as a product, if you're not embarrassed by the first thing you tried to do, you waited too late. And we have this perfection mindset, like we've got to have all of our ducks in a row because we're on social media, we watch on Facebook, we watch our friends, and all their lives look perfect, right? Because, of course, we can edit pictures and edit videos and put text out there, whatever, but it's messy, right? So are careers. I do not know of a career person out there that just doesn't feel messed up. They discover it along their way. an executive that was working for President Bush. We won't give his name, but I remember he told me sitting there, he made a talk for us, and he came in and he was delivering a talk. And so the guy's well known, internationally known in his space. And the first words out of his mouth is he said, every day I wake up and look in the mirror and I just hope today's not the day I'm going to be found out. So I was asking him, what do you mean by that? And he was like, well, I just feel like, he says, I feel like every day I'm less and less competent, that I'm kind of faking it all along the way. Now, I've heard this said by many times, so I'm not making fun of him, but that's how we all feel. We feel like, we're kind of putting things together with duct tape, if you will, and it's not perfect. That's how it is with our kids, right? If we look at what we are doing with our kids, trying our best to get the best curriculum. Oh, then we're going to need to follow a schedule. Oh, and then things like baseball game and dentist appointments. Oh, and in our case, Spider-Man movies come up and they get in the way of the day-to-day grind because there's a million other things to do. And as parents, you just feel this sense of overwhelm, like I've totally blown it. I had this great plan and they were going to be in Harvard by the time they were 12 and, it was going to rock, but it didn't work out that way. And now I'm struggling to get them to where they should have been in 9th grade by the time they graduate the 12th grade. It's okay. It is okay that they will find their way out. Because look, if your kid has a desire to do something, there's nothing that will stand in the way of that desire. If you want to be a medical doctor, but you didn't have all the science and you really are driven to that, you will figure out a way. I've seen a lot of kids come through engineering that just didn't have the background, but they figured it out and they were scrappy and got in there. Now, is it better to be prepared walking in the door? Absolutely. It's better to be prepared. But passion and drive and finding the things that you want to do is much more important than being prepared, because you can replace being prepared with hard work. You can't replace passion. You can't replace the desire, which is so important that you know yourself and that you know what it is you want to do. So as you're trying to guide your kids and you're beginning here in the fall, and usually we start off this great energy in the fall and we've got it all, our ducks in a row. And then for us, it's about October. Maybe I'm giving that too long. Maybe it's about 2 weeks into September that the drain just starts to hit on you, because everything hits in the fall, right? We just go crazy in the fall. But the drain starts to hit on us. And then things start to fall apart. And, and it's kind of like, people that will tell you in battle, you have this great battle plan and it starts to fall apart because things don't work. This doesn't work. That causes this to work. What is it? Mike Tyson, the famous fighter, used to say, everybody has a plan until he gets punched in the face. That's what we're doing. So as you go through this plan, maybe you're excited now, maybe you're not, maybe you're freaking out because you haven't bought your curriculum yet. We're talking to a lot of those people. It's okay. Hey, that's part of the beauty of homeschool is the year starts and ends whenever you want to. This part of the beauty of your homeschool is you can adjust. Part of the beauty is you can speed up. You can turn the ship a lot faster than if you're in a giant school system or if you're controlled by something else. You have so many options. One of the, I don't know if this is a quote that he makes or not, but Dave Ramsey, the financial guru, whatever he is, get out of debt guy, always says, in the United States and America, you can wake up every day and decide what you want to be. You have to work hard at it, but you can wake up to every day and decide what you want to be. He's not talking to adults. He's talking to everybody. He's talking to your kids. So, it's not, while there's a certain amount on our shoulders as parents to prepare and to do the stuff, the real thing is to help them find where they need to be and give them that desire to light that desire in them to figure out what they want to do. They may already know, but there's certain interests that drive them, and there's certain things that bore them to tears. Well, some things we have to do that bores to tears. Some things are going to drive us. But we can help them do that. We can take that pressure off, and we can start saying, you like to do this. How do you discover that? How do we get you to discover that? If I don't know about it, how can I connect you to people that do that? look, you're going to have to do your math. You're going to have to do your English. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do these other things. But how can I help you foster that energy and that thing you really love to do? Because look, the coursework that you're doing, I don't care how important you think it is. I mean, there's ACT scores, there's SAT scores. There's ways, you can play that game, and certainly to get scholarships and those kind of things, all that helps. Yes. But in the end, it doesn't matter. I mean, nobody's going to care what grade your son or daughter made in astronomy or whatever course they're taking. Nobody cares. Nobody is ever going to look at the tests that they took probably again. Nobody's going to have them to do probably ever again to do a lot of the stuff that they're learning. There's some core things. So that's one of the reasons we always saying, stick with that principle of keep the end in mind. If you want to take the ACT and look at, okay, here's some things the ACT has, then look at what they are testing to. A lot of the stuff we teach doesn't show up. A lot of the things that people do not know in our society, as you see the news reporters go around and interview people, and they just really look dumber than dirt because they don't know the common sense stuff. It's funny when we see that come out of universities, right? We see people graduate from universities and they don't know common sense stuff. One of the best videos I ever saw was the MIT engineering graduation. MIT engineering, right? It's a very top engineering school. And they come out and they give the kids a battery and a wire and a light. Now, probably your kids, if you gave them a battery, a wire, and a light and said, can you use these and light this light bulb? A lot of our kids could do that. These MIT graduates who had just spent years studying the depths of engineering and complex equations and things like that, many of them could not light a light bulb. So you're like, do you want to hire that person? I guess if you want to do complex mathematical calculations, sure, but they didn't understand the concepts of what they were even trying to accomplish. We see that all the time in graduations. So we see people that have great grade point averages and know a lot, but they really don't know a lot. They really don't understand. So as a parent, you try to focus on the main things. Don't get too caught up. We all have curriculum. Look, when we sell you a package, we have a recommended curriculum. We have a recommended flow, and we tell parents all the time, look, adjust it. If you go twice as fast as our curriculum says, fine. If you go half the speed, fine. The point is just to get to the concepts. In math, one of the things we spend time doing is we spend time talking in all these crazy equations, trying to solve quadratic equations. You remember those x squared plus 2x plus x. X squared plus 2x plus 1 equals something, those quadratic equations. And we were always trying to find the zeros. And if you were like me, you were like, why do I care about the zeros? Understand why you care about the zeros. Half of that junk we did was just the same way to do, multiple methods to get to the same solution. And I remember the first time I realized that, I was like, oh, this is just like instead of using a screwdriver or using a hammer, it's just a different tool. But focusing on what was the zero was the thing that was kind of important. Every subject is like that. What is important in your subject? What is important for your kids to know? So in our home, there's some simple things. It's instilling a love for learning. Look, kids love to learn. They love to learn. You love to learn. Probably all of us love to learn until it gets beaten out of us by the system of education. Unfortunately, sometimes that system of education is looking back at you in the mirror. You're beating the love of learning out of your children, but it's still there. You got to, you can rekindle it, but to help them have a love for learning and to be able to explore. Give your kids a subject that they care about. They will go to the ends of the earth or the ends of Google, wherever it is, to find the answers to that subject. They will research it to death. They will get books. They will read about it. And you're sitting over there, why can't I get you to do the research report? Let them inspire that love for learning. If you can get that, and if you can connect the dots there for them and help them do that, and then teach them to learn on their own. Because we are always learning. As you research curriculum, as you try to find things out about what your kids should know, many of you, I talk to moms in particular that know a massive more, a ton more about the homeschool subjects and everything than I do. They have researched it to death. Many of them have gone down the path multiple times before. They really have a depth of knowledge about things. That's the kind of spirit you want to teach your kids, to be able to figure things out and to be able to learn on their own. Because in reality, that's how we're going to be learning. In reality, on the job, when I hire your kids or somebody else hires your kids, that's how they're going to learn. They're not going to be sit there handheld by the job. And that's one of the biggest things I hear, the biggest frustrations I hear from employers is we hire people and they don't know how to figure things out. And one guy, so the guy, understand this guy has a PhD in engineering, runs a very high-tech firm. And he told me one time, he said, Dale, what I really want is somebody who can figure things out. I would rather them be able to use Google and figure it out than to use a massive number of equations and get me nowhere. So stick to the simple things. So I just really wanted to, as we begin this, as I'm seeing the emails and I'm seeing customers and especially moms, but sometimes us dads struggling through this, stick to the basics. Help them understand. Forget perfection. Just help them get the big picture and help them get through. Maybe you can take some of the stress off. I know it's coming. I know that as we get to the middle of the fall, probably the wheels start to fall off the bus. But stick to the basics and just be encouraged. And remember, step back, take a deep breath and say, we're not looking for perfection here. We're just trying to help them to take responsibility for their own education. So I just wanted to share those thoughts with you. Thank you so much, Karen, for joining in with us. We are going to, Cassie will be here with you Thursday. And but besides that, we will be back with you probably at 7 o'clock next week, unless I'm back in another superhero movie or something. Talk to you later.